It's been hailed as one of the century's most important archaeological finds.
Scientists recently discovered that Ötzi the Iceman's last meal was a high-fat feast. The 5,300-year-old mummy's stomach contained a significant amount of animal fat, revealing surprising details about the ancient diet and survival strategies of our Copper Age ancestors. Stay tuned to uncover more about this fascinating find. Number 20. Dried ibex meat and fat. Imagine a time over 5,300 years ago, high in the Italian Alps, where a hunter named Ötzi roamed. Ötzi, now famously known as the Iceman, left behind not just his frozen remains, but also a tantalizing glimpse into his last meal. Among the remnants found in his stomach were traces of dried ibex and red deer meat, a discovery that sheds light on the ancient dietary practices. For millennia, hunters have preserved meat through drying, creating what we now call jerky. This tradition spans cultures and continents, from ancient Egyptian tombs where dried meat was preserved, to the Incas who flattened and sun-dried alpaca meat known as charqui. It's intriguing to think that the English word jerky may have its origins rooted in these ancient techniques. Albert Zink, a mummy specialist from the European Academy of Bolzano, meticulously studied the proteins in Ötzi's stomach contents. His analysis revealed that the meat had never been cooked. Instead, it was dry cured, a method akin to the production of modern-day prosciutto. This suggests Ötzi's meal consisted of very fatty dried meats, reminiscent of what we might know today as Stone Age speck or bacon. One might wonder why Ötzi carried cured meat instead of fresh. The answer lies in practicality. Without modern refrigeration, fresh meat would quickly spoil, especially in the challenging Alpine environment Ötzi traversed. Thus, it made sense for him to travel with preserved, high-fat meats that could sustain him during his journeys through the rugged terrain. Number 19. Red deer meat. Moving on to another component of Ötzi's last meal, red deer meat. Also known as elk, red deer are majestic creatures that inhabit expansive woodlands across Europe, from sea level to the lofty heights of the Alps. In the Danube wetlands, they reign supreme as the largest mammals, embodying the title of King of the Forest. The European red stag, a subspecies of red deer, is particularly noteworthy for its size and temperament. Developed through meticulous game management in Central Europe, these stags have not only thrived in their native habitats but have also been successfully introduced to regions like New Zealand. Here, they continued to impress with their imposing size, with old stags reaching weights up to 600 to 660 pounds, 200 to 300 kilograms. Hunting red stag has been a tradition steeped in skill and reverence, particularly in Austria and parts of Hungary. In Austria, hunters pursue them in the challenging mountain terrain, while in Hungary, the hunt takes place in the flat forests. Number 18. Einkorn wheat. Ötzi's last meal wasn't just about meat. It also included some surprising elements like an herb and bread made from einkorn wheat. Imagine this. Over 5,300 years ago, Ötzi was savoring a meal that included meat and a fibrous bread made from finely ground einkorn wheat, cooked on a hard rock. This early version of a pancake is a remarkable testament to ancient culinary practices. The bread's charred remains found in Ötzi's stomach are similar to those discovered at various archaeological sites across northern Italy, dating from the early Bronze Age to the early Middle Ages. These finds suggest that Ötzi's community not only grew einkorn but had also mastered the art of turning it into bread. Based on his tools and clothing, it seems Ötzi was either a skilled hunter or perhaps a wealthy man or ruler. The fact that he ventured so far from his community and met a violent end indicates he might have been chased down by an enemy. Regardless of his exact role, Ötzi's remains provide concrete evidence that einkorn wheat was a staple grain of his time. Einkorn wheat, known scientifically as Triticum bioticum wild or Triticum monococcum domesticated, holds the title of the oldest wheat known to scientists. The name Einkorn comes from German meaning single grain, highlighting its simplicity compared to modern wheat. Unlike its contemporary counterparts, Einkorn contains only 14 chromosomes, whereas modern wheat has 42. Notably, Einkorn lacks the D chromosome, which is linked to wheat intolerance in many people today. This ancient grain is not only easier to digest, but also boasts higher protein content and more antioxidants than modern wheat. These qualities make it a fascinating subject for both historical and nutritional studies, showing that Ötzi's diet was not only advanced for its time, but might even offer insights into healthier eating practices today. Number 17. Bracken fern. Bracken fern, scientifically known as Pteridium aculinum, played a curious role in Ötzi the Iceman's last meal. The reasons for its presence in his diet remain a bit of a mystery, but there are a couple of compelling theories. One idea is that Ötzi used bracken fern as a kind of ancient food wrap. Imagine him preparing his meal and wrapping it up in bracken fern, similar to how we might use plastic wrap today. However, in doing so, he may have unintentionally ingested some of the toxic spores that the fern left behind. This hypothesis comes from Albert Zink, head of the Urich Research Institute for Mummy Studies in Bolzano, Italy. Zink suggests that these spores might have ended up in Ötzi's stomach by accident, a result of this primitive food storage method. Alternatively, Ötzi might have consumed this bracken fern intentionally, possibly as a form of medicine. Zink notes that Ötzi was dealing with intestinal parasites, and bracken could have been part of a regular regimen to combat these parasites. It looked like he consumed the bracken quite regularly, which would make it more like a kind of drug he took against the parasites, Zink told Live Science. Despite its toxicity, bracken fiddleheads have been consumed by many cultures throughout history, often after careful preparation. For example, in East Asian cuisine, bracken is quite common. In Korea, it's known as gosari and is a staple in dishes like the bibimbap. Stir-fried bracken is also a popular Korean side dish, or banchan. In Japan, bracken is called warabi and is prepared in various ways, including steaming, boiling, or adding to soup. Waraba mochi, a traditional dessert resembling mochi rice cakes, is made from bracken jelly, though cheaper commercial versions often use potato starch instead. The fiddleheads can also be preserved in salt, sake, or miso. China also incorporates bracken, known as jiatine, into its cuisine, treating it as a vegetable in soups and stews. It's also preserved by drying. The term fern break refers to this use of bracken in Chinese cooking. Beyond culinary uses, bracken has historically been quite versatile. In the Canary Islands, bracken rhizomes were ground into flour to make bread and a porridge called gofio. In Siberia, and among some indigenous North American peoples, bracken was used to brew beer. In the Mediterranean, bracken leaves are used to filter sheep's milk and store freshly made ricotta cheese. The Maori people of New Zealand relied on P. esculentum rhizome, known as aruhe, as a staple food. These rhizomes were dried, heated, and pounded to extract the starch, which could then be consumed. The plant's widespread distribution across New Zealand is due in part to prehistoric deforestation and intentional planting on fertile soil. Patu aruhe, the pounders used for processing these rhizomes, held significant ritual importance, with various styles developed over time. Number 16. Mosses. Interestingly, Ötzi the Iceman had remnants of 6 different moss species in his intestinal contents. These mosses give us valuable insights into the lifestyle and the events during his final days. Among the mosses identified, 4 species stand out: Anomadon viticulosus, Hymenostilium, Recurvirostrum, Echinocomplanata, and Sphagnum imbricatum. The presence of Hymenstylium recurvirostrum is particularly intriguing. Its past and present distribution and habitats offer clues about the terrain Ötzi traversed. Additionally, the ethnobotany of sphagnum moss, which has been associated with both Ötzi and Quande danensis, the first ancient glacier body discovered in North America, provides a fascinating link between these ancient finds. Although mosses are not toxic, they are neither palatable nor nutritious, and there are no historical records of mosses being a staple food. Sparse reports do exist of mosses being used as famine food or minor components of meals, but these instances are rare. Additionally, very few records mention mosses being used for internal medical treatment, and none of these records apply to the species found in Ötzi. Archaeological sites often yield remains of mosses, especially large, richly branched species that form shapes biologists refer to as wefts, rough mats, and fans. These mosses are soft, springy, and durable, making them suitable for purposes such as caulking, stuffing, wiping, and wrapping. Given that mosses are not typically consumed, it is likely that their presence in Ötzi's stomach resulted from their use as food wrapping. This suggests that Ötzi may have wrapped his last meal in mosses, possibly to preserve or transport it, indicating that he prepared his meal south of where he ultimately met his demise. Number 15. Chamois. Ötzi's last meal also included chamois, a skillful and nimble cloven-hoofed animal that habitats the Alpine regions. Known for their remarkable adaptability, chamois have soft soles on their hooves that help them navigate the rocky and steep terrains of their habitat. These animals change their coat color with the seasons, appearing more reddish-brown in summer and almost black in winter. Chamois feed on a variety of vegetation. During the summer, they munch on highland grasses, herbs, and buds, while in winter, they switch to conifers, barks, and needles from trees. They are primarily active during the day, often resting around midday and sometimes foraging during moonlit nights. Their meat is considered quite tasty, making them a popular game animal among hunters. Hunters exploit two key traits of chamois: their feeding times and their vigilance patterns. Chamois are most active in the morning and evening when they feed, and they tend to look for danger originating from below. This behavior allows hunters stalking from above to go unnoticed and have a higher chance of success. Additionally, the chamois has a tuft of hair from the back of their neck, known as the gamsbart or chamois beard, which is traditionally worn as a decoration on hats throughout the Alpine countries. This tradition highlights the cultural significance of the chamois beyond just its role as a food source. Number 14. Barley. Barley, one of humanity's earliest cultivated crops, also played a part in Ötzi's diet. This versatile grain has served various purposes throughout history, including food for humans and animals, medicinal use, and even as a form of currency or barter. Barley's short growing season and ability to thrive in both high altitudes and subtropical climates have contributed to its widespread cultivation. Ancient civilizations such as the Greeks, Romans, Egyptians, Chinese, and Vikings all relied on barley. It was initially gathered from wild plants, with gatherers closely monitoring the ripening of the grain to harvest it before the sheath shattered and the kernels were lost to the wind. Today, barley remains an important cereal grain globally. In the United States, it is primarily grown for animal feed and the production of malt for brewing beer and other alcoholic beverages. Barley intended for human consumption is processed or milled into various products, making it a tasty, nutritious, and convenient addition to modern kitchens. Number 13. Flax. Flaxseed, one of the oldest cultivated crops, was also part of Ötzi's last meal. The Latin name for flaxseed, Linum usitatissimum, translates to very useful, reflecting the plant's versatility. Every part of the flax plant is utilized commercially. The stem yields high-quality fibers, known for their strength and durability, historically used to fabricate cloth, linen, and papers. Flaxseed, when referred to as a food source for humans, is typically called flax. Over the past 2 decades, flaxseed has garnered significant attention for its potential health benefits, becoming a focus in diet and disease research. Its popularity has surged during its role in reducing cardiovascular diseases, lowering the risk of certain cancers, particularly in the mammary and prostate glands, providing anti-inflammatory benefits, acting as a laxative, and alleviating menopausal symptoms and osteoporosis. The inclusion of flax in Ötzi's diet highlights its historical importance as a medicinal and functional food source. The flaxseed oil and its byproducts have long been used in animal feed, further demonstrating the plant's broad utility. Number 12. Wild mushrooms. Ötzi's last meal also included wild mushrooms, which were likely foraged from the diverse ecosystem of the Alps. Austria, in particular, offers a rich collection of mushroom species due to its varied habitats. From serene river valleys and dense woodlands to alpine ranges, these ecosystems, influenced by diverse climates and soil types, provide ideal nourishment for fungi. Austria is home to around 20 of the most common mushroom species, making it a haven for mycologists and foragers alike. The diverse flora and fauna, along with the climate variations, create a conducive environment for a wide array of mushrooms to thrive. Wild mushrooms have been a significant part of human diets for centuries, valued for their nutritional benefits and unique flavors. Number 11. Seeds of wild weeds. Ötzi's last meal included seeds from wild weeds, showcasing their historical importance as a versatile and nutritious food source. Wild weeds, widely available and multi-purpose, have been used in both sweet and savory dishes, as herbal teas, and even as natural remedies for various health issues. Let's dive into the world of these healthy and delicious wild plants. When we think of foraging, wild fruits are likely the first thing that spring to mind. But there are also other more unusual edibles to consider, such as nettle seeds. Nettle seeds might not be the first thing you think of when you consider wild foods, but they are surprisingly beneficial for your health and taste good too. In moderation, nettle seeds are said to boost energy and immune function. They are a stimulant and mood booster, also used in tinctures and teas. They're believed to help with endocrine and adrenal functions and aid the kidneys and liver. Another interesting weed seed is the common hogweed seed. It's used in baking, where it imparts a flavor reminiscent of ginger, orange peel, and caraway. Finally, there's fat hen, Chenopodium, a close relative of quinoa. The seeds can be used similarly to quinoa or added to flour when baking bread. Today, many herbalists believe that the absence of these foods in our modern diet contributes to chronic illnesses. These superfoods are packed with vitamins, minerals, fatty acids, antioxidants, and phytonutrients that are essential for our health. Historically, wild herbs and weeds were a vital part of medicinal and healing cuisines, gathered for their revitalizing effects, especially after the lean days of winter. Number 10. Pale persicaria. Pale persicaria, a member of the knotweed genus, is found in the stomach contents of human skeletons, from Viking Dublin to other Irish archaeological sites. This suggests that plants we now consider weeds played a significant role in ancient diets, providing nutritious greens, seeds, and tasty condiments. While the charred and waterlogged remains of these plants from archaeological excavations don't always confirm they were eaten, historical documents help us build a better picture of the diverse plant foods consumed in the past. Persicaria seeds are rich in nutrients and were likely a valuable food source for Ötzi. These seeds could be ground into flour or mixed into other dishes, adding both flavor and nutritional value. The presence of pale persicaria in Ötzi's stomach indicates that he had access to a wide range of plant foods, reflecting the varied and resourceful diet of ancient peoples. Number 9. Sphagnum imbricatum hortia. Sphagnum imbricatum, or bog moss, doesn't grow in the South Tyrol, where Ötzi died. This moss thrives in low-lying, boggy areas, like the Vinschgau Valley, where Ötzi likely spent much of his life. The presence of this moss in Ötzi's stomach is intriguing, especially since it has a specific ethnographic use as a dressing for wounds due to its soft and absorbent properties. Researchers speculate that Ötzi may have used this moss to staunch a deep cut on his hand, sustained 3 to 8 days before his death. The moss could have transferred to his food from the dressings on his hand. This practice reflects the resourcefulness of ancient people in using available natural resources for medical purposes. Number 8. Pollen from hop hornbeam. The hop hornbeam is a tree in the family Butulaceae. It is the only species of the genus Austria that is native to Europe. Hop hornbeam is found in Lebanon, Italy, France, Austria, Slovenia, Albania, Croatia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Serbia, Montenegro, North Macedonia, Greece, Bulgaria, southern Switzerland, and Turkey. The wood is very heavy and hard, and was historically used to fashion plain soles. Other uses have included the manufacture of wooden cogs and gears. Pollen from hop hornbeam found in Ötzi's gut likely represented the use of hop hornbeam bark as a medication. Ethnographic and historical pharmacological data list several medicinal uses for hop hornbeam, with pain-killing, gastric problems, and nausea as some of the treated symptoms. Number 7. Sloe plum berries. The fruit looks much like a blueberry. They're not toxic to eat, although one taste and you'll think, why waste my time on that? They have this sour bite at first that doesn't seem too unpleasant, but quickly moves to very astringent as the fruit seems to pull all the moisture from your mouth, leaving you with a severe pucker. A bit startling, but not poisonous to consume. Sloe is the fruit of the blackhorn. It is a species of flowering bush in the rose family. It's native to Europe and often found in a hedgerow in Great Britain. They are everywhere on the property here in southwest France. They are often harvested just after the first frost in October to make the fruit split. Sloes can also be made into jam, chutney, and used in fruit pies. Sloes preserved in vinegar are similar in taste to Japanese umabushi. The juice of the fruits dyes linen a reddish color that washes out to a durable pale blue. The leaves resemble tea leaves and were used as an adulterant to tea. Number 6. Lentils. For over 13,000 years, lentils have helped shape the course of human history. Today, we add lentils to tasty stews, soups, and salads. In ancient times, however, lentils were an important part of establishing modern societies. When humans started to move away from their nomadic hunter-gatherer lifestyles, they looked to settle and form communities. To make settled civilizations possible, year-round food supplies had to be established, and that's where our connection with lentils began. Lentils grow to a height of about 15 centimeters, with 1 or 2 seeds in each pod. They're harvested as seeds and dried for storage. Lentils require very little water to grow, and once they're prepared for storage, they can be kept for up to a year. They're also nutritious, filling, and absolutely delicious. For these reasons and many more, early civilizations gravitated towards lentils as their crop of choice. Look how ingrained lentils have been in human life for millennia. Number 5. Wild field peas. Early heirloom peas were cultivated for their dry seed, similar to today's split peas for soup. The varieties known 1,000 years ago had seeds that were much smaller, dark-colored from the modern garden peas. They were ideal supplements to an early hunter-gatherer lifestyle that was just beginning to transition into agriculture. They were durable, easily carried, and their germination lasted for several years. They needed only a short season to produce food for both man and animals and flourish in soils too poor for early cereal grains, which were being adapted to early agriculture at about the same time. No doubt that during times of scarcity of animals to hunt, peas became a chief source of protein. Austrian winter peas, also known as wild field peas, is an easy-to-grow legume that is closely related to English peas, but is usually grown as ground cover. The flowers, shoots, and leaves in Austrian winter peas are sweet, with a flavor similar to sugar snap peas. They can harvest the younger, tender greens as a winter green. Mature leaves can be tough and stringy. They're highly nutritious and are delicious in salads. As you allow pods to develop, they are also good to eat but are not quite as sweet as most peas. Fully mature Austrian winter peas make an excellent dried soup pea as well. Number 4. Fava beans. As one of the oldest ingredients in the world, fava beans have remained popular for millennia due to their versatility and health benefits. Here's what you need to know about cooking with them and their nutritional value. According to a paper published online in the journal Scientific Reports, archaeology has shown that humans have been consuming fava beans for over 10,000 years, with the world's oldest domesticated fava beans found in the central southern Levant. Before the late 1400s in Europe, fava beans were likely the only beans consumed by humans for centuries. Fava beans, also known as broad beans, are smaller than their counterpart and are harvested when fully mature and dried. They are particularly popular in Mediterranean and Middle Eastern countries. They are used to make dishes like fal medumas, a traditional Egyptian stew of fava beans served with herbs and spices. Fava beans are an incredibly healthy addition to your diet unless you suffer from favism, a genetic allergy. They are rich in protein, with around 13 grams of protein in a 100-gram serving, as well as fiber, copper, folate, manganese, iron, and potassium. They also contain compounds that may increase antioxidant activity in the body. Number 3. Alpine strawberries. Evidence from archaeological excavations suggests that Fagria vesca has been consumed by humans since the Stone Age. The woodland strawberry was first cultivated in ancient Persia. Its seeds were later taken along the Silk Road toward the Far East and to Europe, where it was widely cultivated until the 18th century, when it began to be replaced by the garden strawberry. Strawberries are so common in supermarkets and in some of our gardens that it seems there is little need to write about them. That might be true, except for a tasty forebearer of our market berries, the Alpine strawberry. While this smaller, runnerless strawberry, originating in Europe but now considered a native in the United States, may well be the parent of our supermarket berries, it has retained properties that make it stand apart and worth cultivating. Most notably, some people feel that Alpines pack more punch in the taste department, still sweet but having a bit of a bite to them. They have a unique, difficult-to-describe flavor. Contrary to common understanding, there isn't just one Alpine strawberry. Rather, there are a number of cultivars, each with its own individual flavor, in red, white, and yellow colors. Number 2. Wild currant. Red, white, pink, and black currants all belong to the Ribes genus within the gooseberry family. Black currants belong to the Ribes nigrum, while red, white, and pink currants are Ribes rubrum. Currants are an extremely cold, hardy crop native to northern latitudes of Europe, Asia, and North America. Currants are commonly grown in Scandinavia and Northern Europe, with Russia and Poland producing the vast majority of the world's crop. Currants were brought over from Europe to the United States in the early 1800s and were widely grown in New England, especially New York, in the late 1800s. The most common of our wild currant species is an unpretentious and extremely adaptive shrub. It can grow in sand dunes and shore pebbles, as well as fresh broadleaf forest or floodplain forest. The mountain currant has a similarity with the red currant shrubs, growing in gardens, even regarding the shape of the shrub. Somewhat smaller leaves with 3, rarely 5 lobes, and color of the fruit is identical, but we won't see the familiar long and hanging tussles. The fruits of mountain currants are quite edible, but insipid, flat, sickly sweet, or tasteless, however one would like to put it. Birds anyway eat them and spread the seeds. Number 1. Grouse. Grouse are birds that live on the ground and thus have muscles that are far better developed for running than for flying. This means that in most cases, after they have fled, the grouse reach their established habitat on foot. Being weakened by repeated flight can lead to the bird's death, or weakened females do not lay eggs with a thick shell and do not produce strong chicks. The grouse comes from the large galliforms family that includes turkeys, chickens, quails, and partridge. Like chickens, they are heavily built and, depending on the species, can range in size from 12 to 37 inches. The grouse is a curiously feathered bird with feathers on its nostrils and down the length of the legs. Grouse meat, known for its rich and slightly gamey flavor, is a delicacy in culinary circles. Often compared to dark chicken meat, but with a deeper taste, grouse can be roasted, pan-fried, or stewed. A traditional method involves roasting the bird with a stuffing of herbs and bread or wild rice. When pan-frying, a quick sear ensures the meat remains tender. Grouse also pairs well with berry-based sauces. And that's the intriguing tale of Ötzi the Iceman's high-fat last meal. If you found this as fascinating as we did, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more mind-blowing historical discoveries. Check out our other videos too. See you in the next video.